Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
Today we're going to talk about what Rex Ryan said about Amari Cooper. Called him a turd. But not really that part. We're going to talk about the other part, something that maybe a lot of people agree with. Before we do that, we'll tell you subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up.
Also, Guy, in the description, Haberman, that's him. Middlecoff, that's me. We have a podcast as well. Go subscribe.
How about Rex, John? Spraying a little life into this April off season. Called Amari Cooper a turd. Now, he has since apologized, and we'll play that video for you in a moment. But before we do that, it was really the big NFL story on Friday morning.
It really was. And Rex's transition to television, I don't think, has gone quite as smoothly as many thought. Remember, he got put on the map by the Hard Knocks. Let's go get a goddamn snack.
There was a game you could play, actually, where he would try and get food out of the air. It was a desktop game since expired.
But to me, it wasn't. That's the most famous drop, but it was just the countless F word. He was a star on that show.
It's everything anyone's ever wanted Hard Knocks to be.
And I think on ESPN, this isn't raw and real. This isn't the YouTube channel with us. You can't say whatever you want. And you hire him basically for the locker room talk, right? For being raw and real. And he can't be that on ESPN. And I think, let's be honest, what he ultimately is trying to say is he wanted to call Amari a pussy. He couldn't say that. Because you're not going to call, when you say a turd, you're basically calling him more of a shithead. And to me, that's not the knock on Amari. When I think turds, I think Greg Hardy. I think Antonio Brown. I mean, those are two guys that jump out to me immediately.
Wrong video. There we go.
I just don't think Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Now, there are things that you can knock Amari Cooper for. I think when I think Amari Cooper, I think underachiever. And what's crazy is he's basically averaged 75 catches, 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns through his 5 years in his career. He's very, very talented, but he should be better. So there are comments around a guy that, is he maximizing his talent? How can Michael Thomas and Keenan Allen, these guys that in theory Amari has more physical attributes to be a better player in the NFL, not be better than? But to me, turd signifies like you don't want that guy in your building.
Exactly. But you worked in football. I talk to football coaches every week, especially during the season. Turd's one of my favorite words to hear them say. It's probably one of their least favorite words to have to say, but they love using the word because it's just everyone knows what you mean. You're not saying he's a bad player. You're just saying we just don't. Now you're not calling. It's not like the most extreme thing you could say, but it's just like it's just we don't want that guy around.
Guy, I actually think it gets thrown around. You wouldn't throw it around on a bad guy, bad player because they're just irrelevant. You just get them out of there, especially in the pros. Maybe in college where you can't necessarily cut a guy, but in the pros you just cut. You say turd about guys. I think Antonio Brown and Greg Hardy are perfect examples.
Greg Hardy, the word might not be strong enough, though, for him.
No, it's not. It's criminal. Antonio Brown's probably the ideal usage of the word because his talent is immense. And you're like, he's a turd, but, let's have a meeting. Should we acquire him? Right? I mean, should we bring the guy in our building?
Yeah. All right, well, before we move on, let's hear. So Rex says that. He comes back with an apology that I think when you hear his apology, I'm like, you know what? This isn't one. Maybe Twitter did force them to say, Rex, you need to apologize. But I think he also knew he didn't use the word turd the way he wanted to use it. Like you said, he probably wanted to say soft or something. So let's listen to Rex's apology. And I think what's important about this is the real heart of this video, which is his legitimate criticisms for Amari Cooper, the football player.
First off, I mean, I can't believe I said that, used that word. Obviously, it was a poor choice by me to say what I said about Amari. And anybody knows me. I mean, look, I'm quite honestly, I think the world of every player and have a great deal of respect for every single player in the National Football League, including Amari Cooper. Now, with that being said, I think the Cowboys overspent for Amari Cooper. And the reason for it is I don't doubt that this is an elite player. He has those traits. But an elite receiver to me shows up on the road. He shows up against great corners, and he shows up in crunch time. And those are three things that Amari Cooper has not done so far in his career. In fact, I think he's won one playoff game as a player, and all those things are how I feel about this young man as a receiver. But what I added at the end of that, I want to apologize to Amari again.
All right, so that was Rex on SportsCenter with the apology.
Where did Rex win all those Lombardi trophies behind him? Did you notice that? He had about 10 on both
First off,
sides.
I mean, I can't believe I said that.
Are those
use that
shadows or are
word.
those
Oh,
Lamar?
there's 1, 2, 3,
It was a
4,
poor
5
choice by me to
plus
But then on
Rex
the other
say
Snoopy.
what I
side,
said
too.
about Amari, and anybody knows me. No, I mean, look,
What is Rex Snoopy doing back there? Right.
But-
How do I do this? Right there. What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, the Ravens. I guess the Ravens give you a lot of replicas.
True.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Took Namus away from the Jets back in the day. I don't know.
Okay, so when you hear that video, first of all, solid apology for a 2020 apology. Solid apology. I feel like he
I
meant
agree.
it. But and I also part of the reason you feel like he meant the apology is for the reason we're really here to talk, which is he reiterated what he believes about Amari Cooper, the player. And look, I mean, we're talking about a guy that ranked 23rd in the NFL in catches last year. You can see him there at the bottom.
Yep.
These are we'll get to his career numbers. I'll show you those in a second. But here's the contract stuff in terms of where he ranks in terms of money. Paid like one of the best receivers in the NFL, John. Paid with Julio and Amari, and Michael Thomas and Odell Beckham. Like that's how he's paid.
Well, let me see the player list again of just the catches. I see guys that should just not be more productive than Amari Cooper. I'll throw the tight ends and the running backs out. But when you get DJ Moore and Robert Woods and Tyler Boyd, Amari, I think you and I would both agree, and most people in the league would agree, he has way too much talent to not be a consistent 90 to 95, 1,200, 9 to 10 touchdown guy. Like there is no excuse. And I was thinking when Rex was talking.
These are his stats now.
One of his complaints that I'm going to throw out the window is the playoff wins. Like
yeah,
I'm so that doesn't. But physical corners, they get in his ass and it throws him off. And I think sometimes when he's not I got a Mercedes dealership not that far away. If you got a Mercedes SUV, really nice SUV, some of them are $100,000. You can still drive it to the snow. If you had to drive in some mud, it can do some things for you. But if you get in some of their sports cars, it's kind of limited what you can do. And when I think Michael Thomas and some of those Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, to me they encapsulate it all. Like you got to play in December in the snow. You got to play September in Tampa and it's hot. You got to play in a playoff game against Richard Sherman. They're going to show up. I think with Amari, if you're on like the Autobahn or just some free highway, it looks sweet, right? If you get the right corner, it's like, God, did you see Amari? You have him on DraftKings today? He had 11, 120, and 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys beat, the Jacksonville Jaguars 38-10. Then when all the, it's nut cutting time and you're playing the Eagles in Philly
right,
and he's not on the field because again, he
you got to win to go to the playoffs.
I never knock a guy for he gets dinged up a little. It's the NFL. Everyone gets dinged up. I don't think he does a very good job of when he's 85%, could he give you a high level performance against a really good team? Where it's like, if you say Devontae's banged up or Keenan's banged up or Julio's banged up, Michael Thomas, wouldn't you still feel pretty good? George Kittle, Kelsey, like the premium playmakers. And I bring these names up because Amari's now paid like this guy. And I think moving forward, being the Cowboys, until Dak gets paid, their highest paid player, how's he going to live up to the contract?
Well, but what makes you think he's going to live up to the contract, right? Our old friend Greg Papa was the first person who I heard say this, and it's words to live by. The player doesn't change when you pay him. The player does not change when you pay him. Now, it'd be nice you pay a guy when he's young and you hope that he's going to you pay him at a time when he's getting better. Okay, and maybe he still could because we feel like he's got the physical skills, but there is quite a bit of track record here too already. And the player didn't change when you paid him. The mistake here is not Amari's. The mistake here is the Cowboys who traded for him in October of 2018 is when they traded for him. Not October 2019, October of 2018. Why did it take them until the offseason of 2020 to pay him?
So I think it's a double whammy. I think you could question the moment you're willing to give up a first-round pick, which is it fair to say they were the only team at the time that was probably willing to give up a first-round pick, given Amari was struggling. Though
they needed him.
he had a lot of success. They needed him.
And it works, by the way.
I'm a big believer. The moment I'm trading, if you trade a third, fourth, even if a guy wants a new contract, you don't have to do it because you're not giving up that much. When you give up first-round picks, the Texans are a good example. The moment I give up 2 1s and a 2 to get Laramie Tunsil, he has to have a contract signed on the dotted line when we do the transaction. Khalil Mack, I think the Bears are a good example. I'm going to give you all this. I have to have a deal worked out. Chris Ballard this year. What happened when he traded for DeForest Buckner? I'm willing to give you the 13th pick for this player, but he's going into his free agent year. I want to have a contract. Boom, bang, done. We're all in this together. Okay, it was midseason. But once he has the big year, how do they not sign him last offseason? How do they not figure it out? Even if you quote-unquote overpay, because you always know a year later you're going to be okay, $60 million, it's just too much, guy. And I think you and I would lean being pro Amari more than I think some people that are critical of him. I actually think that if he has multiple seasons where he gets to 90 plus, I would, not that I expect it, but I definitely think it's possible. You just see kind of, that's his range, right? 1,000 to 1,100, right around 6, and in the 70s. I don't need Michael Thomas 140 plus. I'm not expecting that. But when I pay you that much money, I should close my eyes as a GM, as a coach, and think, this guy's got 100 in the bag, right?
Rex called him a turd, and everybody was on Amari's side. Rightfully so.
Because he's not a turd.
Because he's not. But I think what Rex said is what, if a Cowboy fan is watching this video, any other NFL fan, maybe you got him in fantasy, whatever the case is, the fact that he got paid what he's getting paid, the criticisms that Rex levied are going to be ones that a lot of people has if he doesn't improve. Or at least put up bigger numbers.
I think anytime you play an established underachiever, that's risky. Because like you said, money doesn't change who you are. And he got rewarded for nothing changed. And you could say what he's doing is fine. It's probably not ideally the 4th overall pick fine, but if he had been this 18th pick, we'd be viewing him as a really good career, right? He's going to be a solid player, borderline Pro Bowler year in, year out. What I struggle with, Guy, is he has Pro Bowl talent.
He makes Pro Bowl plays. Like if you go watch the Amari highlight tape, it's incredible.
Do you think in 3 years people are going, I don't think he's too talented to ever get to extreme. It's one of the worst contracts ever. That's not possible. I don't think he's ever going to look like one of the best wide receivers. I think it's going to be like, just an overpay.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, what would have been the number to pay him?
I think last year getting around 45 to 50 and around 17 million.
Exactly. So instead of 20 million, you're paying him 17. Or what would make you feel really good is never what you settle on, especially with a free agent. You'd feel really good about 15. But Brandon Cooks is making
I think if you got the Mike Evans contract, you'd feel very good about it. Even though we would both take Mike Evans over Amari Cooper, if he was signed for that deal, you'd go, that is a solid deal.
I mean, Dak's going to have to carry a lot more of a load, and whether or not Amari does, we'll see.
Do you think I'll end it on this? Can you win a Super Bowl when your 2 highest paid players are Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper?
I don't think so.
I would say that would be a challenge.
Yeah. Not unless those guys get better, which is part of what you bank on when you pay a guy, right? Especially in this sport.
But again, Amari's already really good. Like I think Dak can get better. I don't think Amari can get better. Can he get tougher?
More consistent. Can they do more of the stuff we know he can do regularly? Yeah.
Can you play through foot injuries?
Let us know what you think in the comments. We appreciate it.